seen.
Sure.
So I think that that's also playing a part as far as their team synergy is concerned. These guys all knew each other. They've known each other for a while, and they decided, hey, let's just make a power team. And that's just what ended up happening for Strictly Business.
Working. So far, so good. It only took them nearly an hour. We'll see if they can take less time this time round, or SoaR could get off to a better start themselves. Zeus, Osiris, Susano, Raven. So a couple of changes based off set 1. No Zeus, no Susano.
And I know that they're going to be very happy not having to deal with either of those gods. Kaeydan, although he wasn't super effective in the early game, once they found that T2 tower push and were able to capitalize off of that, then he became quite a nuisance as far as mobility was concerned. Did not want to deal with it, and I like how SoaR yet again opting for that, or they're taking away the Geb, I should say, from Matt Koiz.
Yeah, don't want to give it Koiz this time around. Instead, MedievalDoc will take that, and Thoth again in the mid lane for Shaliber. I think Thoth was played okay by Shaliber that game. I think early on he got a little bit out of position now and again. His ultimates were a little bit off, but as the game went on, he made a big impact, even though they still didn't win the game.
I think that I would have to agree with that statement. He had the ultimates that mattered when they mattered. The only issue that he really encountered was the team fights kind of just fell apart a little bit, and he didn't have as much protections. But I love the concept behind the Thoth, and pairing that off with the Thor, I think that there's a ton of setup potential for this Thoth already between Geb and Thor.
Awilix and Salt paired up with the Sun Wukong for Strictly Business. Bologna, how ye band away so far? What other bands and picks are we expecting here? At least pick-wise, I guess, from SoaR Gaming. What are we expecting for them to pick for the last 2?
I mean, Hunters are still on the board, and with Medusa, Current, and Huyi being taken away,
Rama?
I would like to see a Ram on her selection. I wouldn't be surprised if there was also a Cupid potentially brought into the mix, just because Strictly Business could utilize that Cupid to their advantage, but I'm not really certain. With Checo, you can never really be certain of what he's going to play.
Well, we saw Raven band Osiris and Bologna, and with some Wukong picks, we've seen Chaac again. Chaac's slowly creeping back in on the console side of things. Big circles, big axes, big damage.
And it is going to be the Jing way, actually, for Strictly Business. That is a fairly strong lane composition, considering you're pretty much guaranteed your knock-up on Jing Wei with the Terra clap, and it's going to be Zachsy running it back on the Ram. I think that he had a fairly strong game on this Ram. It was just rather unfortunate where things started to fall apart for SoaR Gaming.
Yeah, different composition from Strictly Gaming this time around, so Strictly Business, I should say, going on this time around, because of the fact that they've not got the Nemesis in the jungle. They've gone for the Awilix this time around. Not a whole lot of leaps coming out from SoaR Gaming, though, in response. So we'll see how Reminisst does, because he could just sit back last game, wait for them to initiate. This time playing Awilix, you've got to be a little bit more forward, I guess.
There's only 2 members, really, that have a solid setup potential for Reminisst. And I think this is mostly a comfort pick than anything else, because it's so incredibly hard to grab somebody off of the soul knockup from her ultimate, so I highly doubt that that's the mindset behind it.
Level 1, once again, and the question is, will these teams make the mistake of forgetting the game has started again? Because the one thing that happens in a long game, Taco, is you forget how squishy you are at the beginning.
Oh, that's always one of the worst parts, is getting caught up in one of those 50-minute games, and then you queue into your next one, you're level 1 again, trying to farm it all back up.
All back up a second time round. We'll see if this one goes as long as the last one. Wouldn't surprise me if it did, with how that one went down and the interestingness of the mistakes made by both teams to allow it to continue so long. Left-hand Harpy's going to go towards SoaR Gaming there. They lose a little bit of pressure in the mid lane, but they're back in time to be able to farm it up anyway without losing anything. As on the right-hand side, SoaR Gaming are looking at Niquid right now, at least Kaeydan is. And Kaeydan just wants to fight all day, every day.
Very solid double tap coming out already from Kaeydan, and just a lot of clear potential between Kaeydan and StormyRays. Just Chaac is so... He is such a bully. That's really all that he does, and that's
more than Osiris.
We don't tend to see him too often now, because he has the heal. I think that he actually does quite well against Osiris. The issue with Chaac is he's just not as helpful in a team fight most of the times.
I mean, that's one thing that everyone underestimates, is like, that silence is great, but it's so obviously telegraphed that he's doing it. You get a chance to turn around and get away or pop a relic to defend against it. The knock-up, though, is pretty useful.
It's such a brief knock-up, though.
I mean, knock-ups are knock-ups. Knock-ups are the most OP form of CC in the game.
That is very true, and when you have an Awilix on your side, I guess whatever works, works.
But it's not on his side this time round. That's the one difference, because I thought that at first when we were watching picks and bans that Geb was going to be on the same side as the Awilix. Not the case this time. 2 minutes in, and low-nose masks are stacking for the support players. Sunder for Koiz here. Sprint for TheMedievalDoc. So a couple of changes between the support choices in Relics.
I'm not opposed to this. I think that StormyRays sticking true to the Sunder, it was actually a pretty effective active in the mid-game stage for SoaR in game number 1. So I like the run back.
I like this call from SoaR to just try and focus out Niquid again in this lane. They did this last game. StormyRays and Kaeydan are like little buddies or something. They're just like hanging out together. This reminds me of like old school Weekend Cyclone lane where Weekend would not leave solo lane alone.
I think that Kaeydan just feels as though he has the highest potential of securing a kill in this solo lane side.
True.
Prior to Niquid hitting level 5. Now that he is level 5, I would like to see him stray a little bit further away from this solo lane side.
I mean, but then again, who else is a gang tackle? Look at the mid lane, it's Sol. Look at the duo lane, it's Jing. They're not easy targets to kill either. I mean, that's the issue he's going to have this game for Kaeydan, is finding the ult at the right time. That cloud timing was to perfection. Niquid hacks.
He knew.
How did he know?
He might have heard it, or he might just be anticipating it.
Oh, he's hacking.
Oh, he's hacking.
He could be.
I highly doubt that.
I don't know, he would have hit every Earthbreaker last game if he did. He missed a couple towards the end. And on top of that, you know, he died. So that says a lot. Zachsy versus Checo, a battle yet again, where Zachsy for me is one of these farming sort of players in the Hunter role. He likes to sit back, farm, and wait for the team fights. Checo isn't. Checo's a fighter, like Transonics, like Mansa, who I saw for the first time as well. There's a couple of fighters on the console side of things in the Hunter role that just like to fight consistently and not as often as possible. Whether they live or die, they die by their sword.
These guys just want to duke it out, and
Sure.
I can't blame them. I mean, when you're being left alone for so long in these dual lanes, well, actually, Koiz is not really leaving Checo alone very long, making sure that Zachsy knows he's there.
Exactly. Zachsy's just been poked out a little bit more there. Held the rollout for a second longer than I expected him to for a moment. Didn't use the beads though, which is very wise. And that's all Koiz is really looking to do there, is try and get the beads if he can. Won't find it this time round. Surprisingly enough to see these oracles contested right now as Koiz looking to contest. And 1 for 1. No! Both go to strictly business. And there's TheMedievalDoc. He could fall down straight away. That supernova was beautiful. Final judgment, not too bad. But oBoronic did a hell of a lot of damage to TheMedievalDoc on a Geb. Wasn't enough for a kill, however.
That was all Kaeydan. Kaeydan just completely saved TheMedievalDoc with one of the best walls of 2017.
Was it all that wall?
It was all that wall. That wall just completely stopped the disengage entirely.
Okay,
If it hadn't been for Kaeydan, he's dead every time.
Good work from Kaeydan, then that's what you kind of want for your jungler, to help out as much as possible in critical situations like that. Right inside, Niquid versus StormyRays, and Niquid will poke him down, and StormyRays will heal back up. There's no reason to pay any attention to this lane other than if Thor starts to rotate round, or Awilix. Reminisst for me, from what I've seen of him so far on Strictly Business, he's very passive. As in, he likes to sit back and wait for the right moment. He's not someone that goes gung-ho like some other junglers, like Kaeydan, for example. Two completely different playstyles for me.
His team is kind of just drafting into that mentality as well, though. They have more of these counter-engaged playstyle drafts. I mean, when we think of Awilix, we think of aggression because of how strong her early game is with that feather step, and we're used to seeing players such as Mifflin, for instance, who just loves running at people on Awilix.
And he just causes so many problems, because with Awilix rotations on Suku, it causes so many issues for the enemy team to be in the right place at the right time to match the mobility from Suku and a speed buff. But he likes to just rotate around for far more than anything else for the time being and wait for the counter initiations.
And I like the mindset behind it. And Kaeydan, again, looking for Niquid. This time he's not going to get up into the cloud, and he's actually dead.
Really good execution from Kaeydan there. No mistakes made. Full CC combo chain makes it unescapable for Niquid completely. Like, he couldn't even get the cloud started, let alone onto his cloud for safety. So first blood going over to SoaR Gaming. It's a good boon for themselves after how last game went, because the one thing you don't want from a team is to make the mistakes of, you know, losing that big old set that was 50 minutes long and then turn around and have the issue of playing a second game and getting behind early on. It will just put you behind and lose your momentum.
Speaking of getting behind, Checo actually going to get caught out by the knockup.
That was dope.
I mentioned that, but that's actually such a quick reflex you need to have, because that knockup does not last very long at all.
That was quality, and we mentioned Reminisct generally on the passive side, but that was a really well-timed gravity surge. Now Strictly Business, after getting that kill back, look for the red buff on the left-hand side, up against Zachsy, and they looks like they stole that one away, I believe, in favor for themselves. Now turning towards the purple as well, so stripping the jungle on top of the kill is working out well for Strictly Business. Walls on Zachsy do connect. Doesn't stop him from getting a bit of damage off onto the purple, but not enough in time.
That is just so depressing, losing both of your buffs. All Zachsy wants is farm and to be left alone.
But that's what happened last game to him too, didn't it? It was the same story, game 1, game 2. He's kind of been left 2v1 every time.
Matt Koiz is not giving him a break in the slightest. And the rotations for Checo, I mean, he's got to be loving it. That's like the best feeling in the world.
Well, Kaeydan's just throwing out the hammer looking for poke as much as possible. Oracles contested, and Oracles go even between the two teams, one for each of them. They'll be available for the next respawn again. And as we are approaching the 8-minute mark, it's only 2 minutes away from the Portal Demon spawning, which creates more distraction on the right-hand side of the map.
And I mean, I can't blame SoaR for trying to play it a little bit slower after that mid-game engagement. I mean, you don't really expect Medieval to just get all in underneath the tower line.
No, you do not, and it causes so many problems when that happens. You've got to reposition yourself just a little bit better every time. Right-hand side, SoaR, StormyRays on that Chaac. It's done great work to Niquid's tower here, especially when Niquid has that teleport, and Chaac doesn't. That's the surprising thing of how much tower pressure he's actually managed to get against the Sun Wukong.
But Stormy has a lot more consistent of sustain with the heal in his kit on the third ability, which I think that's what's helping him find the better trade here.
I think it's also the fact that he's got Sunder into ultimate that is going to force Niquid to use his ult defensively every single time if the all-in potential comes out.
And the Swift Wing.
That's true.
He's got the Swift Wing yet again, and it's showing just how effective this item is in getting back to the lane quicker than your opposition, because TP, you're going to beat him there once every, what, like 160 seconds or so?
That's true. That's true. We'll see how it goes. It's about 200 seconds
It's
for
about,
teleport,
it's like 200 at the... Yep. It's 200 at the start, so...
Well, just looking at the itemization coming through here as well. Shift the Shield being worked on by Kaeydan, which we've seen quite a bit of this season. Going back towards it for junglers. Not just junglers, though, but solo laners now and again. And some of the hunters, too, in tow. We'll see how that develops. Sovereignty being worked on by Matt Koiz, whereas it looks like MedievalDoc going for that Gauntlet of Thieves.
My only concern here for Reminisst, hold that thought, it's actually going to be a lot of aggression onto Reminisst and oBoronic. They're both trying to get away.
Kaeydan wants oBoronic and looking for the stun, won't find it because the Disapparate was still in use. Meanwhile, though, Koiz is going to continue to try and put some pressure onto StormyRays to stop him chasing down his carries. Now it's StormyRays over extended, but he's going to juke back to the backside to safety. Bad news is Strictly Business has already left. Niquid's very low, but MedievalDoc even lower as Checo turns up to claim the life. Zachsy versus Checo continuing over away from the duo lane now as Kaeydan will leave. So 1-0 in favor of Strictly Business.
Too much commit. Kaeydan needed to just back off there. Soul was in the Disapparate form and had just entered it. And because of that, oBoronic had more than enough time to wait out that ult.
Worked out very well for them there. Didn't even steal any jungle away, SoaR Gaming. They didn't even find a pick they were after. And so they get the blue buff and the speed from their own jungle here, Strictly Business. SoaR Gaming won't be too upset, I guess. I mean, they only lost one member and get their own jungle themselves this time round. Because you can see Strictly Business were in position on left-hand side to look at the red. Oh, maybe they can look at the purple, though. Rest in peace. Poor Zachsy. That's not your buff. That will never be your
It's
buff.
not even his jungle.
Not anymore. Look at me, this is my jungle now. Talking about junglers, they both appeared at the same time. Reminisced with a level lead over Kaeydan as it stands. Rest of the experience difference between the two teams, it's slightly favouring Strictly Business.
And here's the thing, though, about that last engagement. It was actually Michael Checo. The only kill that happened was picked up by Checo, who is on the Jing way. And again, this greedy, well, I can't necessarily even call it greedy really when it's Jing Wei, but he's not starting with a starter item. The reason why it's considered a not recommended is because that Death Soul, just the 90 health that you acquire helps you so much in survivability and in terms of sustain due to the region that you get off of the active. But
the passive, it's Jing Wei passive versus Death Toll.
Yeah,
I think that's the difference.
It's really it.
Well, Reminiscent is in a bit of trouble in mid, but he got juked out by Kaeydan, got juked out by Reminiscent's decision making there. And in the end, he ends up having to focus onto oBoronic, who eats a double tap, but Koiz is there to sustain him up. And Reminiscent will live to fight another day, and he'll be able to tell his team that Kaeydan just used his ultimate for free.
It's crazy that that was half of his health from one double tap.
That's just the strength of having, you know, a Thor that's maxing his hammer first of all, as well as shift his shield for the extra power spike. No doom and gloom whatsoever.
Pretty convenient. And on top of that, though, well, Oh, I also had a point earlier.
You did?
It's actually going to be...
You had a point?
Well, I almost did, but instead I'd rather look at strictly business. They're trying to lock down this Gold Fury, and they are going to secure it.
Nice airstrike. Cataclysm from MedievalDoc was good to get him away, but not for long, as Reminisst will take his life too. This is good for strictly business. It's a 2k lead now. They found a couple of picks, and that experience is starting to grow.
This is kind of similar to what we saw from them last game, where it was just that initial early game lead, early XP lead, and again, a 4K experience lead, right around the same mark.
Sure, and that's just causing so many problems now for SoaR Gaming, because all they want to do is just try and farm up. They've got that composition that's kind of relied on Kaeydan, if anything, to cause problems for them. And now Zachsy's under pressure by taking a fight he shouldn't have done. Checo and Koiz going to run him down, but the clap from Koiz didn't do what it was after. Zachsy even beads anyway, just in case, but Walls wouldn't have stunned there. But now Kaeydan's coming in, ult to the sky, looking for Checo or Koiz. Koiz is back, and Koiz gets hit. Koiz gets walled. Koiz gets stunned, but he'll dash away and still alive until Zachsy looking to clean it up.
And he will find it with the snipes. Marvels would be proud.
He would be. He would be.
And I mean, that's a solid combination. That was very strong return fire, punishing that aggression from Matt Koiz and Michael Checo.
It's funny because if it's strictly business, actually do that gank more successfully, find those walls, it gets the beads and potentially even the kill onto Zachsy. Because they dropped the kill on Zachsy, who was the one out of position, to be fair, they overextend themselves, and it gives Kaeydan that window to punish them for that and pick up the kill in response.
Almost a solid jig attempt, though, from Matt Koiz.
Sure. Like the idea behind it, didn't work out all in all. StormyRays has just used his torrent though, so that could be a disaster for him as he's pulled into a dangerous zone. Ults very early on, and now with the cloud being used by Niquid, they're still diving in. Kaeydan's there at the right time again, which means StormyRays will live again. Kaeydan is going to be able to save the day.
Oh.
StormyRays is so low, trying to hang around for some extra damage. Kaeydan's just playing very well this game, in fairness. Like, he's having a good game.
He needs back. Okay. I thought Stormy was, for a second, going to think about just hanging out and being like, hey, guys, got the...
But this is what happens when you don't got teleport. This is what happens when you don't got teleport. You're going to get pressured down. Luckily enough, he just invests in teleport, thanks to hitting the second relic. But with MedievalDoc here and Shaliber, final judgment used, didn't connect. Shaliber's in a bit of trouble here. He's looking towards Reminisst, who's sacking the tower. Shaliber, be careful behind you. It's Kaeydan to the rescue once again. And Niquid will pay with his life.
And oBoronic, he's just trying to lock down this T1 tower, so focused on getting that last auto attack in that would take it out that they kind of just leave Niquid out to dry.
Yeah, I'm so surprised Shaliber got away with murder then, because he was just had his back to 2 or 3 members that you don't normally do as a mage anyway. But he trusted in MedievalDoc, and MedievalDoc came through, as did Kaeydan, to keep him standing. 3-3. Gold is still relatively close, but slightly in favor of strictly business. That's down to the Gold Fury.
I think that's probably the that's the 4th time that Kaeydan has actually saved his teammates' lives. Yes.
In 15 minutes. That's how
incredible.
Much there's been really good play from the Thor player in the jungle for SoaR Gaming. Checo's overextended, gets hit by the cripple by Zachsy, but he was already out of range anyway. And I don't think there was an arrow charge involved in that one. So the agility goes through, and Zachsy's got a couple of extra minions on his side, but Checo will be looking to try and just poke this one out. He can't sustain up because he's got no sustain in his kit.
And Zachsy, that kill actually onto Matt Koiz kind of closed that little bit of a gap that he had between him and Michael Checo, so he's more than happy to have that experience on his side.
We see Chins versus Crit, and this is obviously based off the Hunters too, but who gets the power spike earlier? Obviously, at this build right now, I'm guessing Zachsy because he's got Chins completed, but when Rage gets online for Checo here, is it going to be Rage?
I think Checo, well, considering what they're facing off against though, because Zachsy's trying to DPS into a Terra and a some Wukong, who can be incredibly annoying to deal with. So I feel as though Zachsy might build again into the Executioner for the item, because he's been kind of leaning towards this Ickful, Chins, Exy, and that's what a lot of hunters tend to do right now. It's either the Ickful into Exy Chins or the Ickful into Chins Exy. It all depends on what you think is getting in your way the most. And for Checo, the main reason why he's going Executioner is because he's Jing and he can rush the Rage.
Well, you can see the support items coming through too. As it stands, I was surprised to see MedievalDoc looking towards Wait, is that got to be Stone of Gaia there? It looks like it may be, you know. Got to be Stone of Gaia overlooking Heartward Amulet and Sovereignty, whereas Matt Koiz has already got those two online, has forgone the Thebes so far. Interesting to see what he's going with that. I'm pretty sure it is going to be Heartward. Sorry, not Heartward, Stone of Gaia.
I feel as though that'll be the Stone of Gaia as well, and I think it's just because he's so concerned
Flame
about the
Cataclysm
knockups.
hits 3, beads immediately used by Checo as he disengages. Koiz is out of the fight too. In the fight is Nickwood as StormyRays comes around the corner now. Both the Warriors getting involved, and both of them falling back to their own side, but Stormy takes more damage than Nickwood for a second. Suncloud is used early on. The silence is down from Stormy as he's knocked up running away, but there's Nickwood diving in for StormyRays. Meanwhile, Kaeydan's going the other way around, looking for Reminisst, who gets away. Kaeydan bites off too much as there's 4 members there, and Zachsy takes to the sky looking for Reminisst, needs one more shot.
A little bit too far. It isn't able to find it and lock it down, but Shaliber had to pick up just in case over the wall with the Thoth.
2 for 1 in favor of SoaR Gaming. They're going to start up the Gold Fury. Matt Koiz, the only one here to defend, doesn't have the monolith for the dash route combination. Will have the walls, but they don't care about the gold or Koiz. They wanted Checo. The walls were good though, and that sets up oBoronic for some free in-hand damage on Zachsy, who's forced to the backside too. SoaR Gaming going to limp back to their own half of the map with a tail between the legs.
I think Strictly Business just caught a lucky break there that SoaR Gaming didn't decide to just commit onto that Gold Fury. They could have committed to that Gold Fury.
I agree, and that should have been an even game then too, because that gold lead, I think that Gold Fury is exactly how much the gold difference is right now.
I'm pretty sure that would have put them either slightly ahead or right at the exact same.
Well, we'll see what happens next, because they'll return to the Gold Fury relatively soon. Portal Demon is available, and that's also a threat that you've got to watch out for if you're EVA team. If you invest too much in the Gold Fury, use the Portal Demon instead.
Well, we saw kind of the issues that Reminisct is starting to encounter already, facing off against a Geb. Those shields kind of just ruin everything you'd want to do with Feather Step.
StormyRays going to get hit by the Tiger by Nickwood here. 0-3 for Nickwood, 0-0-2 for StormyRays so far, but some Wukong top of the player damage, which is pretty impressive, in my opinion.
He's just been poking away consistently.
It is against a Chaac.
He's 3K ahead at that.
That's
not
true.
even just a small amount. He's just been poking away, and Stormy is only at 5.9K.
Yeah, credit where it's due, though, how well the two mid laners are doing so far with the amount of damage they're doing. Yeah, they are pretty long range, and they've got big AoE damage to them. But oBoronic and Shaliber, just like Game 1, it came down to a battle for those two. It's going to come down to a battle again, I think. This time around, though, no Zeus. It's Sol.
And I think that SoaR Gaming are more than happy that it's a Sol as opposed to a Zeus.
I think so too, especially with how the Zeus played last game. oBoronic has shown, though, that those supernovas he's got can hit the mark perfectly and even set up Reminisct for that ultimate, which is something I wasn't expecting to see too much, especially on console with how tricky that is to pull off.
That's what I was kind of anticipating, that they weren't really looking for that sort of combination. It's kind of one of those, if it's there,
secret.
It's there, but you don't really expect that from the console side of things just because it can be a little bit more difficult mechanically to get your abilities off.
Hold in his StormyRays, but the blink Cataclysm from MedievalDoc was beautiful! StormyRays is fine. Kaeydan in the sky, grouped up for Strictly Business. Kaeydan's still hanging around, waiting for his opportunity, looking for the right option. And I'm not sure where he ended up coming down. I think he's just back towards his own team at the end of the day. Looking towards Checo, who was in there very long. But as Jing away with an airstrike, you're going to do okay. Some Wukong, different story. He's forced to Cloud. All ultimates are down, except Zachsy's now, as the Oracle's going to go the way of Strictly Business.
And I think that Strictly Business are probably more than happy about that last engagement. Everybody from SoaR kind of just backing off.
It's the same dance of Game 1, this, but instead of the Fire Giant dance, it's the Gold Fury dance that neither team seem to be getting an edge on. Multiple members of SoaR Gaming on the left-hand side, though, they could pressure that Tier 1 tower if they so chose. They've not recognized, though, that Strictly Business weren't in a position to defend it. Otherwise, they could have potentially put some free tower damage onto that.
I think that SoaR are trying to play this game a lot more passive because they're so concerned about what happened in the last game, where they kind of threw that little bit of advantage that they had.
Oh, hold that thought. Strictly Business going to start the Gold Fury, already down to half health. No ultimates available apart from Zachsy's and StormyRays. But I think Zachsy's just used his early on, which means it's all down to the Chaac master when it comes to big ultimates in team fights. Nickwood going to zone away SoaR Gaming again, but Strictly Business are not continuing the Gold Fury just yet, as they continue to try and reposition themselves, wait for a couple of cooldowns, and make sure that they draw SoaR Gaming in.
Shaliber has been so on point with these Thoth stuns, by the way.
Yeah, I'll agree. Shaleva's having a very good game on that Thoth, and I think he struggled on that previously in the past on some of these mid lane majors. Like Thoth showed his corrections in this game, that's for sure, and actually giving them a window back into this game right now, I feel. SoaR Gaming feeling a little bit more confident with StormyRays and Medieval back at full health, but Stormy's a lot more poked than he wants to, and he was forced to ult defensively. That's an awkward situation, but Kaeydan's ult is back up, as was Kaeydan's from TheMedievalDoc. The dunk was good, and Shaleva clean up crew on Koiz. Checo overextends, looking for kills, and will airstrike away to safety. Kaeydan gets a nice big shield out though from TheMedievalDoc to get him over the wall back. Zachsy meanwhile takes out Nikwid. The solo lane is dead, but Zachsy needs some help to get away from oBoronic and gets just that as he weaves in between his carries to safety. Reminisst was hanging around but eats a big old axe from StormyRays. Stormy's getting low and needs the rain dance to help him out. Zachsy on the left hand side though, boxing against Checo, and Checo winning the trade. The Aegis is down. He can't hit the persistent gust. He's gonna dash in looking for the kill, and Checo finds it, and the Aegis will save him from the axe from StormyRays.
He might have a lot of in-hand damage and attack speed, but you're not going to typically outburst somebody who has rage.
Who won that fight? Did anyone win that fight?
I think that was kind of just stalemated because of how long it took both sides to secure kills. So everybody's kind of just respawning. Probably strictly business come out slightly on top, just purely due to the fact that Zachsy is still dead, so they can actually look for putting aggression elsewhere on the map. But man,
I think that's where we can see SoaR Gaming struggling a little bit here. It's just in communication of helping out the carries a little bit more. I can see TheMedievalDoc is very good at the initial instant, but I don't think he's getting any help. And I guess maybe that's down to composition though, because you've got Kaeydan wanting to dive in as Thor. He's very aggressive, and a Chaac doesn't really do too much on the back line, does it?
Zachsy was trying to find oBoronic on that backside near that red buff, and instead he ran into he was trying to find Reminisst or oBoronic. He said he ran into Michael Checo.
Just caused a couple of problems. Left-hand side, Strictly Business going to steal away the purple buff. StormyRays will get his blues. He hits level 18. So much action in 23 minutes so far, though, that nobody's level 20 just yet. You normally expect about a level a minute. That's the kind of average you're looking for.
But look at Checo's level.
Kaeydan up in the sky, looking for oBoronic, but already the supernova, the disapparator has been used and he'll be back to safety. And yeah, you mentioned it, Checo's level just slightly ahead of everybody.
He's just been happily farming away on that Jing Wei. He's so far ahead.
It's kind of what Checo does, Jing Wei does, especially with the crit build here. No sustain, though, and he's going to be careful about Doc coming around the corner, who has Blink and Ultimate available. Tell you what, if they would have known Checo's relics were down, they probably would have tried to get his ultimate there, if not the kill.
No, Medieval, I think, would have certainly looked for that engagement, but they also would have had to have been concerned about the rotations from Strictly Business.
Here we go again. StormyRays versus Nikwid, and they both take an equal amount of poke from the carries. StormyRays swings round to the left-hand side where Checo was waiting in position, looking with those explosive bolts to crit people a couple of times, but it forces Strictly Business back yet again at this Gold Fury.
And again, it's kind of just that standoff between these two teams.
Blink Cataclysm hits 4, knock up, it's good onto 2. Nikwid immediately turns around, but that was a very late ultimate from Shaleva, and he's in trouble against Michael. Checo! Airstrike is good, and the bird is down. Next on the list could be Kaeydan here, as he's in an awkward position, but we'll get back to mid. Zachsy, though, will punish Checo for his indiscretions and pick up the kill there. Kaeydan takes to the sky, looking for a clean-up. Can he get a big ultimate? Doesn't find a single target, and oBoronic going to box him down and disapparate. Nikwid's still fighting.
And Zachsy, now he's not nowhere left to go. He can't follow up with his team, but he's trying to pick off Nikwid on his own. Kaeydan having to get out. He needs one more snipe, and just off the mark, still able to find him with the Astral Arrow.
Finally, Zachsy picks up that kill onto Nikwid, and so it's a 2-for-1. Zachsy had slow double kill there for himself, where Checo was the one that made all the action happen. He's the one that's not scared to go in and get aggressive as a carry, but then again he was Jing Wei. SoaR Gaming pulling the Gold Fury, but Koiz and oBoronic doing what they do best at, trying to slow them down. No ultimates available, Gold Fury low. Gold Fury goes the way of SoaR Gaming, and Koiz is in trouble.
And Koiz is actually going to fall down to Zachsy, who has the follow-up kill, and now, thanks to that last engagement, look at Zachsy's scoreline. He's reading at 6-1 and 2. He's been such a massive factor for SoaR Gaming.
And not only that, though, look at this tackle. They're going to go straight to the portal demon, trying to burst this down quickly. Stormy's on zone control if he can, but Reminisst is already here. Oboronic round the corner. No ultimate for him to get in. Reminisst looking for the shoot, the moonshot if he can find it. Too little, too late. Portal demon goes down. SoaR Gaming get it. Checo use the airstrike, but MedievalDoc's very low. The shield comes into play as the silence from StormyRays keeps MedievalDoc alive. Kaeydan on the backside, forced out on the left-hand side. As the rest of SoaR will disengage too. No deaths yet again.
They need to just fall back. That was such a massive win for SoaR Gaming to pick up the Gold Fury, a couple of kills before that team fight broke out. Then when Koiz fell down, that was their avenue to go for the Portal Demon. They knew that no matter what, Strictly Business would be a man down underneath that engagement.
I'm surprised they didn't go straight for the fire gen here. Probably a little bit worried about, obviously, Strictly Business being in the area and their wall coverage too. So the tanks come through and start warding up. Right-hand side, you can see Shaliber clearing the wave here, looking to maybe abuse the situation of getting this tier 1 tower for free, as it's so low on health. The problem is now, Taco, I'm expecting another dance one more time at the fire gen, and we just had at the gold, and it's taken him a long time to find kills in these fights.
Or it could be Koiz looking to get his Blink ultimate yet again onto the enemy team. They're pushing it down. Oboronic trying to take on Zachsy.
Zachsy's got to the sky. He wants to kill him. Oboronic, one shot was good, but the Aegis blocked his second. Different story. And Kaeydan's going to look to clean up the crew, knowing the Aegis is down. One more hit is all he needs, but he misses it. Luckily enough, the axe was waiting in the wings from StormyRays to chop down the spirit.
All that follow-up, but now it's StormyRays who's left alone inside of 4 members of Strictly Business. The ultimate is good enough to get him out of danger.
is good onto Niquid too, so Niquid falls with his ultimate available. Checo was cataclysmed by Doc, but the rest of SoaR weren't even there to hang around. They went back towards mid lane. They're looking for the tier 2 tower, and they should find it with Zachsy and a decent health pool. And the glyph from Thoth is going to set them up nicely.
Oof, double tap onto Reminisst. They're trying to heal up inside of the Terra, but the Phoenix shove is on.
Meanwhile, the Phoenix shove is on, but Checo was in the back, causing a distraction for Kaeydan. Double tap didn't hit Reminisst there, but MedievalDoc going to tank this up. Phoenix in mid, being pressured down. StormyRays looking for Checo. Checo will get away. Phoenix will fall down here. Koiz can't stop it as Kaeydan and Reminisst still boxing away with each other. Kaeydan disengages. Reminisst lives to fight another day. Can't have the same to be said about the middle Phoenix.
That was, again, just another huge victory for SoaR Gaming. They need to just keep adding those up, and slowly but surely, well, actually now it's happening more so all at once than anything else, where Strictly Business keep trying to re-engage into SoaR Gaming, but they're just getting out-traded.
Yeah, and it's causing them a couple of problems. Checo's going to take to the left-hand side, though, get a bit more farm for himself and look for this tier 1 tower. Got some minion waves coming with him, but the bad news is Zachsy is back, and I think you're both going to be respectful to each other at this stage of the game with the Fire Giant available on the other side of the map.
The only difference between Zachsy and Checo is that crit build versus attack speed in-hand build. Zachsy, again, going for the Blood Force last item, I'm sure. And I think that the auto trade would still probably favor Checo.
Bit of a weird game this one, Taco, compared to game 1. I mean, they both have gone very long, at least 30 minutes minimum for each of them. The problem is, though, is that this has been so much fighting and so little farming that still at 30 minutes in, people are not level 20. That's unusual. Normally, it's only supports who are not level 20 at 30 minutes in. Everybody else is. And look at how little items have been completed so far. We're luckily if we've got 5 items completed, let alone 6 at 30 minutes. That's crazy.
It's really just been an oversight by both of these teams. They're so focused on just these engagements that they haven't really been paying attention to the farm on the map.
Checo is in trouble, and he has to airstrike away. That ultimate on cooldown as Kaeydan now goes to the sky. He might be looking for Checo if he can find him, but Checo might be too deep. Instead, he goes for Oboronic. Oboronic forced to beads and uses ultimate defensively there too. StormyRays and SoaR Gaming happy with that result. Will just fall away back towards the right-hand side and maybe look for the tier 2, unless Niquid and Reminisst get a little bit too deep for their own comfort.
I want SoaR Gaming to just back off and look for the Fire Giant. With the Soul Ultimate being expected and Checo not having an escape option with his ultimate either, they can freely pressure that FG.
Keep an eye on the Gap, because the Gap will blink and engage if he gets an opportunity to do so. Wall down from Kaeydan. Niquid trying to cause a distraction more than anything else. But the tier 2 tower is slowly falling as Reminisst gets hit by the silence by StormyRays. Wasn't intentional. Niquid, meanwhile, was forced to use the Sun Cloud to keep Kaeydan at bay, and he jumped into Zachsy. Final judgment from Sullivan was aimed towards Checo, but Checo's still fine. Crits coming through from him as the Aegis is used by Kaeydan to close the gap. Big Berserker barrage. Not enough to get a kill just yet, but everybody's getting low. Niquid specifically, he's the first to fall.
And Zachsy cleaning him up so easily, actually getting to freehand cast this game. He's actually really enjoying just being able to gas pedal. He already rushed the Fatalis.
This is a cheeky little bait coming out from SoaR Gaming. They're trying to catch somebody coming around the corner. They have a man advantage already with Nickwood being dead, but they can't find it just yet.
Reminisst cannot contest this. I highly doubt that Reminisst could actually get in and have any sort of impact against the 5-man roster of SoaR Gaming. And just in case, Kaeydan did choose to go up into the air for the ultimate zoning effect.
I would like to see him go for the Fire Giant straight after this because they've got the vision. Clearly, Kaeydan knew that they looked like they were all backing on the end of that. They weren't going to try and contest, and that's why oBoronic's hanging here. He's trying to see if he can see the animations of the Fire Giant being pulled, and you can see Medieval walking. He might have an idea this is going on now.
They already know that oBoronic is there, though, with 2 wards.
But Checo's doing gold. Checo is doing gold. Fury, is this being done? I'm not so sure about this call, boys. It looks like Strictly Business have made a small mistake there because I think they could have contested that still.
I chose to forfeit the Fire Giant, and instead it's going to be Reminisst and Michael Checo focusing on securing that gold Fury, getting a little bit more farm to their names.
Geb is pushing in the right-hand side here so far as the rest of the team barrel down the mid lane towards Nickwood. Checo now basing alongside oBoronic. Sorry, not oBoronic, I should say Nickwood. They'll get back to base in a decent enough time to start defending this middle Phoenix that is just respawned. Bad news is, Taco, Phoenixes don't take long to kill after they've died once.
Especially now when you have a Rama on your team who's firing through that Thoth wall. And sure enough, just a couple of in-hands and it's already gone. And now SoaR are just waiting for their window of opportunity for Medieval to blink in and just try and take everybody out. He's going to have his blink ready and, well, it's already up now.
Engage, hits 2, Checo speeds it down. Koiz under pressure, but they're not after Koiz. They'd rather have the carries. Checo forced to airstrike to bases. Kaeydan comes in looking for the ultimate. Wall is good, but it's not good enough to stop it. Reminisst, meanwhile, has already fallen down. Nickwood is knocking as many people up as he can as Kaeydan was in very, very deep, but a good shield from MedievalDoc keeps him topped up. Wall is good to set up the silence onto oBoronic from StormyRays. oBoronic is still alive thanks to the Aegis as he's going to be trying to get down with Zachsy. Snipe will clean up oBoronic, and now StormyRays can force out Checo back towards his fountain too.
And Michael Checo's trying to push them outside of the base, but unfortunately, he's already lost 2 of his teammates. Reminisst and oBoronic just unable to get away.
And now with that, 2 members dead, SoaR Gaming, happy with the Phoenixes, will take their attention to the left-hand side here. There's a tier 1 and a tier 2 tower still remaining. That's when they can look for the Phoenix. Do you reckon they can do the Phoenix all in one go on this push?
It's a little bit riskier to try and shove the Phoenix off of this push, but what they're most likely going to be looking for is trying to secure another kill or 2. And if they get those picks, then I think that the Phoenix is all theirs.
Checo just going to try and farm up the mid lane for the best of his ability right now. Surprising to see SoaR Gaming back in here, especially after seeing Checo in the mid lane, but better to play it safe than sorry at this stage. They already lost game 1 to Strictly Business after 50 minutes, and to get in a position that they are in now, 10k gold lead, you don't want to throw that away.
And they're not looking to risk anything at all. And it's clear these teams are trying to play this game as cautiously as possible because you never know what could happen. And I mean, with so much on the line.
This has been your longest day today, right?
Oh, it's been a fun day today.
I've just realized it's your longest day here. 5 sets today. And we don't ever do 5 sets, but during the console league, it can happen sometimes. But these are the longest games you've experienced, right?
Yes.
They're brutal.
It adds
Imagine a whole season of this.
It's starting to add up a little bit.
That was season 2, you know.
It's called the training wheels. I mean.
Oh yeah, build it up
break it in eventually.
But you know, 50-minute game average. That's what's going to happen
with Xbox.
Well, it happened on PC too. Let's be honest.
Oh, I mean, it did happen with PC. That's a little bit different, though. I think that the PC teams were kind of just they were really out there.
Well, let's see if SoaR Gaming can close this game out. Nickwood's going to get the cat up onto Kaeydan. It's going to force a Spirit Robe. The walls do hit him, and the Aegis is burnt down. Koiz says go, but Zachsy says no. Checo is actually going to take out Zachsy's health early on. Meanwhile, the fight's still raging. SoaR Gaming have lost a man. Zachsy's down, Checo's down, fight's still going.
But everybody from the side of SoaR Gaming is still fairly healthy other than Shaliber. He's got a Geb shield just in case he needs it. But the fire creeps are what you have to pay attention to.
Right,
they're pouring in.
Winions are coming into play, and only oBoronic could really defend against this, but if he did that, they could lose this Phoenix. There's not a whole lot of damage for that Phoenix other than the Fire Giant buff on the targets. Cataclysm on Niquid keeps him busy. You can see in mid lane, the Reminisct is actually headed back to base to try and stop this from going on. Of the minions, as Kaeydan will take out Niquid. Phoenix does fall. oBoronic next up. That should be game. SoaR Gaming are gonna split Taco. It took them a long time, over 80 minutes of gameplay.
And I mean, that fair enough to SoaR Gaming for securing game number 2. Strictly business. We're trying so hard.